Well, today we're going to say farewell to our good friend Ramses and his slab. It's the Every FNFF podcast. I'm Curtis.
I'm Carl.
I'm Alex.
And I'm George, guesting on this podcast. Thanks very much for having me, lads.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Thank you.
What's going on, man? How you been?
Not bad. Can't go outside. So I've been getting a lot of gaming done. I think I put more hours into Persona 5 Royal over the last 5 weeks than I have into my actual job. So
you don't even know the can of worms you just opened with me.
Curtis's eyes just lit up.
I know. I just bought a PS4 last month, and I was okay, I'm going to play the Final Fantasy VII remake for the podcast. And, maybe I'll just dip into Persona 5 and just see what it's about. And then 3 weeks of my life just disappeared. And I have 110 hours into that game. And I'm just like, oh my God, what happened? Who am I? Where am I? Oh, so good. Persona 5 is incredible.
I seriously need to play it.
Not really a game you can dip into.
Yeah. You can't quite just get in and get out. It's good though. What did we do last week, boys?
Well, let's first introduce our guest.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, properly. We're all old, fast friends, so.
Yeah. So much so that I had to be asked my surname before we started recording. How do you do? My name is George Thompson. I'm from Leeds in the north of England, and I am a podcaster on the Pourri podcast. That's Puro space Pourri space, and spell podcast, which is just a sideways look at Japanese professional wrestling. And I'm a long-time Final Fantasy fan and fan of this podcast, and have very recently played Final Fantasy 1. So I think I basically just slid into your DMs and said I want to come onto the podcast to defend myself because I had basically done. I can't remember which of you it was who didn't realise that giving your character a piece of equipment wasn't the same as actually equipping it.
Carl.
I think that was
excellent. I feel your pain, brother. And I did the same, but I didn't realise until a much later point in the game. So I actually got as far as Provoker with no weapons and no armour.
You were the true god gamer.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I didn't even realise because I don't really play many games that came out before I started gaming, so 98, 99. And so I just thought, games were much harder back then. This is why it's really grindy, and I'm getting into loads of scraps with grimps and dying all the time. I just thought, Final Fantasy 1's meant to be really punishing, and it wasn't until the guide I was following said that this weapon you get, it can do double hits, and I'd used it in about 20 battles and think there's no double hits at all. What's going on? And by that time I was level 5, and I realised, oh shit, that's how you equip stuff. And I was like, oh, this game's really easy now. So
you got really, really strong, really, really fast. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my story anyway.
Awesome. I love difficulty curves like that, where that kind of also happened to me a little bit in the first area of the game Dark Souls, because the main place that you're in when you first get into the game, the way that you want to go takes you through a graveyard, and there's a bunch of skeletons in that graveyard, and you're like, okay, I've played video games before. Skeletons are always really easy. This game is a legendary hard game, and you go up and you do no damage to these skeletons, and they kill you in 2 shots, and you're like, holy shit, this game is really hard. But it was the game's way of telling you, hey, maybe you should come back here later. But if you come at it being oh, this is a super difficult game, you don't realize that. So I love when that kind of stuff happens. Where you're like, oh, it's old Nintendo.
I definitely had to start Dark Souls a couple times, and the first time I was like, why can't I get to the fucking graveyard? It's so hard.
Yeah.
But yeah. And now we're almost at the end of this game.
Yeah, we are very close. What is your favorite Final Fantasy game you've played?
Ooh, that is I don't know why I'm saying it's a tough one. It's not a tough one at all. It's Final Fantasy 9, which was it was the first non-sports game I ever owned. I had Colin McRae Rally for the PlayStation 1, and then 3 different soccer games. And Final Fantasy 9 was the first sports game. So I didn't really know what an RPG was or really anything about it, but I think I saw a walkthrough in the magazine that I had, and I was like, this seems kind of fun, and it remained my favourite game actually ever for almost 2 decades until the original Persona 5 came out, which has since been supplanted by Persona 5 Royal. So, but yeah, Final Fantasy 9 for me. Big fan of 7. Still haven't played the remake actually for much the same reason as your good self. But got to be 9 all the way. Helped me through a long patch of unemployment around about 2016 and 2017, where I was basically applying for jobs around the clock, and I needed something to sort of make me happy sometimes. And I downloaded it off Steam, and it's kind of amazing how much you remember a game that you really loved when you were a kid. I had to look up like 3 things, and the rest of the game
Nice.
I just knew well enough to just breeze through it. Beat Ozma for the first time as well, so it's just a game that really stays with you. But big Final Fantasy 13 defender as well. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, 13, love it. 13.2, it's all right, but they like in 13.3 or whatever. No, not about it.
I played the demo. The fashion's nice.
Oh, the fashion's great.
Yeah, that is the bit. Although I always had this thing where I wanted all the outfits to match. So if I got a really good, it's like getting a Draugr helmet in Skyrim, and you think, oh, this looks really bad, so it doesn't go with the rest of my gear. So like, I'm sorry, big defense upgrade. I don't want you unless it's like coordinated.
Then you're slapping on really weird outfits so you can pass like charisma checks and stuff like that.
Yeah. That annoys me when I'm playing like Final Fantasy 14 because like each piece of gear for a certain outfit has a different level requirement. So I'll be like in the middle of a set of levels and like shoes to waist are one outfit and then like top is all a different outfit and I'm like, I'm a travesty. This is terrible. Nobody look at me.
I need to get a lot stronger before I can put on these pants.
Yeah. When we get to Final Fantasy 12, we'll have to get licensed to put on a pair of pants.
The Libertarian Party's going to fucking hate that.
Yeah. 12 is canonically like the least libertarian. Would that make it the most authoritarian Final Fantasy? Or to make like one of those political alignment charts.
Yeah, we got to make the alignment chart.
All right. Yo, I'm getting sick of holding on to this slab already, boys. Done with it. Let's get rid of this thing.
You know what we haven't done in a while?
What are we not doing?
Go chasing waterfalls.
Oh, you want to do that first? Let's do it.
Well,
I'm done to do that first.
I mean, that's kind of where our quest leads us first, right?
I went ahead and went to Dr. Une first, but it doesn't really matter.
I guess that makes sense.
It doesn't really matter.
Well, the way I did it, I went to the waterfall, and then I forgot to go to Une, so we'll get to that.
Well, and there's also a thing where if you don't remember that people were talking about the waterfall, and then you just kind of continue on, like you go to Dr. Une, and then you go to like the next place, like you're kind of going to kick yourself and be like, I should have went to that fucking waterfall. There's something really important in there.
Yep. So actually, it kind of makes sense because the waterfall is just north of the town we were in, isn't it?
Right. Last we left off, we emerged, unsubmerged.
Unsubmerged.
From the sunken shrine / temple / Bass Pro Shop.
Merged.
I had to go to the inn in the middle of that quest, so I unsubmerged. Once I came up.
Dub merged is the least superior.
Yeah, but it also makes sense with where you park your airship, because where I parked it was like just across like the river that then leads to On Lake or On Rake or however it's pronounced. And if you're using the canoe anyway, you can just go north before you get to your airship and reach the waterfall.
Yeah, you just travel up that little river. And so last week we were talking about it, and Alex, you did the waterfall last week. Yeah. We're like, oh, you just go in and talk to the robot. Man, it's more than just going in and talking to the robot. That is a maze. That is a maze and a half. I was like, Alex, I was like shaking my hands in the air the entire time. I was like, I thought it was going to be a quick in and out.
Dude, me too. And like, there's some tough enemies, and I was like, I should look at a map first because I don't want to keep running into these random encounters.
But yeah, we touched on it briefly last week. But yeah, like I heard there was a waterfall. I actually didn't really pay attention to what was at the waterfall. I was like, oh, that seems like something I need to go to.
Yeah.
And it shows up on my map as a location you can go to.
They have the red cockatrices there.
Oh god, they're like Pyrotrists or something like that.
Yeah. In mine, they're called a Perilisk, which I don't think is
that's it.
Right. But
those things suck too, because if you're using the staff that uses fire too, or Fire Aga, like it doesn't do a whole lot of damage.
Oh yeah,
on them.
the
like,
mage staff.
Yeah.
Right.
So have you beaten the game yet, George?
Oh yeah. I beat it a few few weeks ago, actually. Yeah, I went to the waterfall. Basically, I did the first 3 floors of the Mirage Tower because the guide I was using told me, okay, do the first 3 floors of the Mirage Tower and then go to the waterfall. So I thought that was the order in which you had to do it. I didn't realise that you could just go to the waterfall first, and then you wouldn't have to do the first bit of the Mirage Tower twice. It was basically like my dad going by exactly what the sat-nav is telling him. Like, even if he knows it's taking you a stupid way. I was like, well, it was programmed by designers. How could it possibly be wrong? So, so I did
updated the firmware.
Well, it's one of those things where I guess if you want to get most of the game, like I went to farther down this episode, Lufenia first, and I was like, oh, I actually get to if I got the Rosetta Stone or whatever I needed first, I wouldn't have actually been able to interact with these people as they're speaking in their language.
Yeah,
which is
I did the
cool.
same thing. I did the same thing where I was like, oh, let me see, and I'll talk about it more later, but it's really hard to find a spot to access that town.
Right.
And I finally made it through and the enemies there, it's basically the same enemy set that's on the Peninsula of Power, because it's right across the channel or whatever from that.
Let's get to these 2 parts and then we'll get to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not too far into it that we actually get there.
Yeah.
Because so in this cave, there's a robot golem, I guess. He's like a robot. Even on the 8-bit NES, you can clearly tell he's just a boxy robot, walking around.
Very Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, and it gives you what do we call it last week? The Tesseract.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's just cube in my game.
But yeah, so you follow through this little cave. It's kind of a little meandery, but you kind of just have to hang left, and work your way towards the left bottommost area. And then there's a cave with some chests in it, with a mandatory battle with those cockatrices and a mummy king.
A ribbon is in one of those chests.
Excellent.
So 2 of the 3 that are in the game.
And a lot of gil, which I used to buy a ferry.
Yes.
Which we did yesterday.
Right.
Not yesterday, last week.
Yeah.
But yeah, then they talk to this robot who's just chilling. He's kind of cute. Looks kind of like a mummy because he has one eye or whatever. I forgot what video game had those mummies with the one eyeball. Is it kind of it could be Mario or Zelda, but something.
What's the Doctor Who robot? They have the one.
Daleks.
No, wait. I'm thinking of Battlestar Galactica, I think.
Cylons.
Oh, yeah, Cylons.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, you talk to this robot, and it has really weird syntax in our game. I'm not sure what he says in your game, Curtis.
No, he's real boring in mine.
What's he say?
He's just here, take this cube. You can get to the floating castle with it. And then he's fine. Robot. He's just still walking around after that.
So in ours, random word, or at least in mine, the random words are in caps, which I think is implying that it's kind of weird
jagged
robot speech.
I have been waiting. Take this cube, Tiamat, flying fortress, please.
Oh, he gives you the name of Tiamat. Oh.
Tiamat.
Yeah. So,
cube is capitalized. Yeah, it's just a little gorbally. I'm guessing is kind of what what they're kind of going for, with little dots in between. So you're just getting fragments of his sentence. And then you talk to him after, he says buzz, burr. So I'm guessing he just shuts down.
Shuts down, yeah.
He's fulfilled his task.
Yeah, they in mine it's the same sort of thing. No weird caps or anything, but it says
Take this cube, defeat Tiamat, flying fortress.
And then you obtain the warp cube, and he starts sparks kind of start flying off of him, and it says bzzt giga. And then he continues walking around.
Oh.
So he short circuits, but then he continues walking around like nothing happened. And then you talk to him, and he just kind of says the same thing over and over again, which is the last bit of dialogue that he had before shutting down.
Yeah. I also the defense sword is here, which is a good sword that the knight can use, and also the red wizard.
So interesting.
Yeah, and I assume probably the ninja. I don't have a ninja on my team, but they're I think they can equip every weapon the knight can, with the exception of one.
I don't think the ninja can equip the defender, is what it's called in my game, but I'm going to double check
myself then.
Oh yeah, George. So what version are you playing? And tell us about your party.
Oh yeah, I'm playing on the mini NES version. So like the retro console you could get with, it's got like 30 games on. It was about, I think like $65 US. I basically bought it so I could play the original Final Fantasy. Like I was like, oh, it's got Mario Brothers and Contra and Punch Out and all that stuff. But this was the primary incentive for me to buy it. So yeah, the robot's sort of saying this sort of not that interesting dialogue in my version as well. It's kind of weird. Like it might be the first robot you come across in the game, and you're expecting it to be this big revelation. Like there's a mysterious secret civilization that died for unknown circumstances, and you're finding its one remaining relic, and the robot's like, right, mate, hey then. That is cube. And then it just shuts down.
Thank God, I'm done. I've been tired of holding this thing for.
My party was so because I played a game with job systems before and Final Fantasies with job systems, but never one where you couldn't use them all in the same party. So I did a little bit of research just so I didn't basically fuck myself from the beginning of the playthrough. So I just went for 2 fighters, white mage, black mage. The first fighter was called Troy because Trojan War, as I understand, the Trojans were quite good at swinging a sword about, and also I wanted a good sort of I just wanted to think of him as a big dumb meathead. And I thought Troy was quite a good name for that. And my second fighter was called, I was trying to think of 4-letter names, and he's called Marx, who I must point out is named after Richard Marx and not Karl Marx, who I certainly don't think was a great philosophical mind. I certainly don't think his ideas should be put into practice in society wholesale. So that was my second fighter. And the Black Mage was called VV, which I think is kind of quite common for playthroughs. I mean, he literally looks like him. It's 4 letters. What are you going to do? And the White Mage was named Hannah after the professional wrestler Hannah Kimura for entirely non-pervy reasons, I hasten to add. So that was my party, really. They're all about level 25. At the stage of the game that we're at, and I think the equipment was all pretty optimized. I'm the kind of person who actually did money grind to get the silver sword all the way back in the early game, which basically meant sailing around until you encountered those quite weak pirates which have a large amount of gil on them for some reason. I forget what they called the blue lads. So
I remember them. I think it's just like Japanese for pirate. Didn't we look that up?
Kaizoku, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think they're called privateers in my version or whatever. But
privateers
kind of makes sense that they would have a lot of gil though, because I mean they're kind of weak, but they're strength in numbers and they just go around and steal shit from people.
Yeah, it makes much more sense than say a shark having some money on him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or an evil eye having 3,225.
A shark could have eaten a bear, which has eaten a human, which had money in its wallet. It makes sense to me.
It's like a 3-bird roast. Just want to go through each level to get at the gold.
Like a Matryoshka doll, a flesh Matryoshka, if you will.
Oh God!
Ugh. That's just called a turducken.
Yeah, so that's really all that's in here in the cave, right?
Yeah.
The waterfall cave.
I made good use of the warp spell to get the fuck out of there because I didn't feel like walking all the way back.
I wanted to say something about the exit spell. So I have exit on my red wizard, and the text because typically you'd select the spell and it would just be warping out or whatever, something like that. But there's oddly interesting flavor text for an old NES game that when you select exit from the magic menu, it says lost, no way out, hopeless, no way. Use this spell to exit. And that's what it says when you use it. It's incredible.
I love the attitude of your descriptions.
Yeah, they're so good. No, wait, don't.
The rat tail, better throw it away. No, wait.
It's kind of like it's trying to sign you up to a cult, lost, no way out, take off your personality test.
Doctors hate it.
Oh, boy.
But the main reason I thought that a warp cube also was kind of like the Tesseract is because in my game is described as a cube made of multi-hued substance, which is kind of cool, iridescent.
It's like those mechanical keyboards that have all the rainbow lights.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah!
That I totally don't have on right now.
The robot gives you a fucking cube and it says Corsair on it.
Logitech.
Yeah, Logitech.
The spell's actually called Brexit in my game.
Oh no. So do we want to go to the tower or Une? So I'll just say I went to Dr. Une next. So the thing is, you can do the next part of this quest without actually going and speaking to him. But he's a individual that we met in Melmon the first time we went, which is where the vampire had burned down the quote unquote clinic, and so he's still there, and we met his brother right in Onrak.
Right.
Yeah.
Who says that like, oh, he was an expert in Leafinish, and so we go there, talk to him. He mentions that we have the slab, and is like, okay, well, I'll teach you how to speak this language. And so I'm pretty sure that's how language acquisition works. We just learn it immediately, and we're
well, in our
fluent.
version, it's called the Rosetta Stone, which is the software that just teases you languages. It's very easy to just, boot up that CD.
We learn it Matrix style, where we just suddenly know it.
We learn Leafinish and Kung Fu.
How does he have any kind of like weird presentation with how he teaches you the language, Curtis? Because he's kind of a real dick in mine.
It's just a dialogue box. That's it.
You learned the language, yeah.
I don't even get a dialogue box saying you learned the language. It's just you just talk to him and then it has happened.
Oh yeah, so it's kind of the same in mine, but he says, let me see that stone slab. Why, if it isn't the Rosetta Stone, my dear know-nothings, this stone is key to unlocking the mystery of the Lufinian language.
Fuck off,
Yes, of
Dr.
course. Eureka, I've got it. It's an arcane language, but I suppose I can teach it to you. I hope you can appreciate such knowledge. There, now even you can speak the Lufinian tongue. I was like, all right, dude, Jesus Christ, like...
It gave me like a booster shot.
And then after that, he says, like, if you talk to him again, he just says, bless the crystals. So, like, that implies, like, he loves the crystals. Therefore, he probably loves, like, the legendary heroes of light. Yet he's such an asshole to you.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you fucking idiots, you dipshits can probably learn this, too, thanks to this cool stone that you just went through hell to get.
We're just contractors, man. We're just like, should start a union.
Yeah, the Warrior of the Light Union.
And then he starts talking about Rick and Morty and how you have to... So, yeah, he's an asshole in mine.
Yeah, mine as pretty much says the same thing. But he's a little more respectful.
Well, we never have to deal with his ass again.
Yeah, just a moment. Let me see that tablet. This is the Rosetta Stone. This makes it possible to decipher Lufinian. Yes, of course. That's what it was. That all makes sense. Here, allow me to express my gratitude by teaching you Lufinian.
Oh,
there, now you can speak Lufinian too. Yeah, that's
a nice guy in that one.
Grateful.
Yeah, nice guy, eh?
Restore the crystals to grace.
Yeah,
that's
to
nice.
grace.
That's a lot. That's like from the original Latin. It's not bless the crystals. It's restore the crystals to grace. Yeah. So anyone who goes to church, like, you can tell the last time they've been there if they don't use the new one.
So Leafin, the town, right? Or however...
Lufinia, I think in ours.
Is it?
Yes, yeah. Lufinia.
Well, that's wrong. And I will not accept it.
So getting to this little town, this is on the east wing, I guess, of this continent. From Gaia being the head / the Hawk's head, Hawk's eye. I forget what they called it.
And just like any town that I want to get to, I drive the airship over the town, and then I go back looking for a parking space. And I'm like, there's woods, plane I can't land on. Yeah, I know. And an entire fucking world away, there's one small piece of greenery that we can land on.
Yeah.
From the distance from Gaia to this town, basically only like a quarter of the way there is where the parking spot is. And so you have to walk like the other, 3/4 of the way there.
Yep.
For me, I mean, for me at least, I don't know if you all found another spot. I found it just north of that lake.
I could only find one. The first time I went to Lufinia, it wasn't really that much of a problem for me to find it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, whatever. Here's the parking spot. It kind of sucks, but whatever. And then I went there, and I was like, oh, I'll probably get like unique dialogue and just check out the town. And every single one of the NPCs says the same thing, which I'll try and pull up because it's just like weird. It doesn't mean anything because you can't speak the language yet. But when I went back after getting the language, I like couldn't find the spot. I was like, where the fuck? Where did I park?
Landlords are built over it. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Remember, kids, we parked in the itchy lot.
They just say Lu ... pa ... gamhi ... diho.
Dull.
And like every NPC just says the same exact thing.
Dude, that's the most basic Leafinish. You haven't even picked that up by now?
Yeah, geez. It's,
I've spent so much time watching Leafin anime. Like, by this point, I at least know that.
they called me Baka. I don't know what that means. That's probably a compliment.
Yeah.
I like to imagine that Une was like such an asshole. It's like if you ever seen the Monty Python sketch about the guy who gets put in prison for doling out fake English Hungarian phrase books. So it's just loads of Hungarian tourists going around London and saying things like, "My hovercraft is full of eels."
That's amazing. Yeah, so we can go into this town, and it is a lot of exposition, right?
Yes.
It's a very unique town, though. It's a very
It
flowery.
is.
Even though we've already spoken to elves, this is more like, I would say, Lord of the Rings elvish kind of vibe. Where it's very
Yeah.
kind of
I
ornate.
thought the same
and
thing.
Very ornate, and there's like vines everywhere.
Well, even like the name of like the language, Leafinish, I was like, well, that just sounds like Elvinish or something like that. Like,
It's like the high elves versus like the wood elves or something.
Oh,
I
yeah.
kind of get that vibe.
These Lufians are so lit.
so lit, so damn lit.
So
But, yeah, go ahead.
On my way out, but did you all see that fountain on your way in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you talk to it?
No.
No.
I did, but it just had the generic fountain text that is like in any town that has a fountain.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah.
mine said, "Let's take a peek at your reflection in the water." Ugh, you're filthy. Wash up already.
That's what my first one said in the first town. It said that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think all the fountains are the same.
All fountains is the same.
All fountains is the same.
I love how you and your crew have been adventuring for, what must be in game like days or weeks or even months, like doing all sorts of fighting, getting all like mud over you probably, and then you go into this asshole town and the fountain's telling you to have a wash.
Even the inanimate objects seem to have a problem.
It's like if you're on tour and you just like stop at a rest stop and you go up to the sink and you look at it and it's like, you look fucking gross.
Yeah.
Wash your goddamn face.
That's how I feel every time I load up my Switch game and the screen turns black and I just see myself.
You see, but you see
like,
yourself
ugh.
from like the under angle too, where it looks like you have a big chin. You know, it's the worst.
Are there no mirrors in this game? I guess not.
Yeah, I don't.
It's
I
the
don't think
past.
so.
It's long ago. With all the robots. So speaking of which, so these people are kind of the descendants, we learn, of the what would you call it? The technologically advanced civilization that lived in the sky.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so these are their descendants, and they kind of tell us that like 400 years ago, I think it is, like there was like a terrible something happened up there, and they've been living down here since.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of text here, and a lot of it is kind of just like, oh, we heard legends of the four warriors of light. It turns out they were true, and just more like world building like that.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the big parts is that, because, we've dealt with all the fiends except for the wind fiend. One of the townspeople says that 400 years ago, we easily controlled the power of wind, and that's why the castle was their civilization was able to float. Is that it was like literally being suspended by wind.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone else says our ancestors created robots. I wonder if they still work. So that kind of,
Yeah.
Oh, there is a good thing that we should point out where in my game, someone says, we came to believe there was another culprit behind the four fiends. We sent 5 warriors to seek him out, but they never returned.
Oh.
Ooh.
Who were those 5 fiends? And why are they only sending 4 of us?
So yeah, there was 5.
5 friends, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're 5 friends. Yeah.
I hate fake fiends.
We're about to put this motherfucker back in the fiend zone.
Yeah. And then someone also mentions that the Tower of Mirage, which we've heard about, or Tower of Illusions or whatever it's been called, is the entrance to like the Sky Palace that they're talking about their ancestors sending into the sky.
Right. Okay,
I got some good dialogue. So you use a vessel called an airship. It was built by one of our ancestors, a man by the name of Sid.
Yeah. Oh, that doesn't
that's
appear
not
in
my
mine,
game.
but that's awesome.
He loved cigarettes.
They do say that the airship was built by their ancestors, but
I think that's just like a retcon for
Yeah.
whoever the localizers were.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, we need a Sid in every game.
But
His
we
name
also
was Sid, and we found out that he was also the headmaster of a place called a garden.
He loves being turned into an oglop and getting high on nephicites. That's his.
He looked a little bit like someone in Legend named Robin Williams.
Yeah, so we also learned that. So you said one time before, Carl, that there was like an order that the fiends appeared in to start fucking everything up, and that like the original one was like the wind one. And we learn here that the wind fiend Tiamat is the reason that they're no longer living in the floating castle. That 400 years ago it seized the power of wind and kicked them all out, essentially. And he still lives there to this very day.
Yeah, and someone mentions like the 5 brave warriors that we were talking about, like the 5 friends.
The Sky Warriors.
Says 5 of our bravest warriors were our last hope. They still live, but have been turned into bats.
Yeah, I saw that too.
A weird detail, which I don't.
Which is
know.
also weird because the person listing right next to him is like, "Oh, I hope nothing happened to those guys we sent out." And the person listing it has been said they've been turned to bats. Maybe one of them's in denial, or maybe one of them's just like a conspiracy theorist.
yeah.
Like all these bats that we've been talking to are just other fallen heroes in the past.
Oh, bats! I'm sorry, that's Leafinish for corpse. There was a disconnect there. My bad.
5G turned them into bats.
They used to have the floating castle, but after 5G stole the power of wind from them. So, I did not get this the first time I was here. I had to come back later.
Oof.
Y'all know that there's a shop in this town?
Mm-hmm. Oh no, I didn't even see that. Shit, I gotta go back a third time.
Oh, so
I found this out after as well. Like, oh wait, that shop's here?
I did the whole Mirage Tower and Sky Fortress, and then went back because I was looking up on online. I was like, oh, let's see what I have and what I don't have. I noticed something I don't have, and it said it was in this town, and I was like, but there were no shops in that town. What do you mean? And so once you enter the town, if you go back behind the row of houses, it's kind of like the water shrine or the Sunken Temple, how we had to like loop the world around or whatever to get somewhere, and it's kind of like an off-beaten path. There's an off-beaten path that we can go, and there's a magic store like off the screen, like all the way. You have to walk out into like the nether realm of the map where there's just grass and nothing else, and if you keep going, you eventually wind up at a magic shop.
Oh my gosh,
shit.
I found a picture. It's like just literally in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nothing. And they
it's
sell
just a shed behind behind the city. Yeah,
they sell the most powerful black and white magic. In my game, it's Nuke, which is I think Flare in the later games.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, and Fade, which is Holy. So I don't know why
Fade
it's
is
called Fade.
so Holy is here in yours, because in ours it's full life and Holy was in.
Oh no, I'm sorry. You're right. Life 2 is here.
Lift 2.
My mistake.
Yeah.
Full
Lift
life
2,
consequences.
Yeah, my bad. You're right. Lift 2 is here.
I almost shit myself at the cost of these spells, because the way it's laid out in my version, there's no space between where it says level 8 or L8 and 60,000. So I just instantly looked at that and thought it was going to cost me 860,000.
Yeah, every time I look at that, I'm like 860,000. Jesus.
I went the other way with it, and I was like, "Holy shit! This magic is level 8,600."
Late 1,000.
Yeah, late 1,000.
In my version, it's a cost of 1 fairy. Should have saved that fairy for later.
But so Nuke is a elementalist, non-elemental, I guess would be the term. A non-elemental attack for the Black Wizard only. So no Red Wizard can have this. It's just Black Wizard. And it's the most powerful magic damage you can deal. Real late into the game, at least on the NES version, because of the critical glitch, magic almost becomes useless. So even though it's the most powerful one, it's just like, well, magic doesn't matter, so whatever. But Life 2, though, great. Super good. Especially because, from this point on, it seems like every enemy, even the little piddly ones that we fight, have instant death spells and, can hit 10 times in a row. It's ridiculous. Numbers just start flying in this game.
Holy shit! Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty wild. But good finds either way.
Oh, and so I think can it also kill undead enemies in this game?
Maybe.
Or is that just I'm looking at the fandom site now, and it might just be like that becomes a trope later, like using a phoenix down on an undead enemy.
Yeah, I don't think if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it just revives and fully restores.
Yeah, I mean you've got the harm spells on this game for doing the damage to the undead, so
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think that you have the option to toggle between party and enemy for spells in this game.
Correct.
Yeah. But so you can get those here, which I didn't get till the very end of this episode when I realized I didn't have them. So
yeah, this would have been helpful for sure. Can you use life 2 or whatever it's called, full life in battle, or is it like life where you can't? You have to use it after battle.
I believe you have to use it after battle. Yeah,
that makes sense.
So, R.I.P.
So there's besides the shop, there's another important thing we need to.
Oh
get here, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's called the chime.
Yeah.
So on the south right side of the screen, after the guy tells you about the bats, there's a guy just next to him who hands you the chime. I think
it's like a remote lock for a car. You know, they have a little beep. It's like beep, beep. Press the unlock button and it makes a little chime, and you go up to the Mirage Tower and click it. And it's like tick, tick.
So he said, before you leave, legendary warriors, take this chime with you. It will grant you passage into the Mirage Tower. And you obtain the chime.
Yeah, so in mine it's called the bell. He says, now take this bell, use it to enter the Tower of Mirage. Yeah.
One bell, you can't even buy anything.
Yeah. You're not going to get any turnips for that. That many bells. Alex, are you still playing Animal Crossing?
You betcha.
You still got Excel spreadsheets? Doing it right.
I'm still logging turnip prices. I'm logging my fossils. I have 100% of my fossils. I'm trying to complete my decks for this month before more fish come into season.
Oh,
now, if you get all the fossils, you can make Ammonite and Kabuto. It's a good joke.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. It's a good joke. All right.
So now we got this chime. Should we take a break before we venture the desert?
Yeah, I guess we may as well.
Right.
All right, let's break.
Break. And this is where the break music will play. I'm going to play the old one.
Hell yeah. We've got like 2 or 3 episodes left and we still have the old one.
I'm still writing FF7 on all my checks.
Well, we truly are in the hell zone. But you know what I want to talk about that's not hell zone? I want to talk about, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Maki Ito?
Oh, yeah, I've met her.
Really?
She came to so there's a wrestling promotion in London, which is just like all women's wrestling, and they often bring in people from Japan. And so they brought in Maki Ito because like she's quite well known among wrestling fans for being something of a character. I mean, basically, I don't know how much you know about her deal, but basically,
I know about her potty mouth, and it's incredible.
Yeah. She used to be an idol and basically hated it, and like she suffered quite a bit from depression at the time. And then she got into wrestling, and her gimmick is basically a sort of Miss Havisham character, where she's like, "No, I don't like being an idol. All that's bullshit." But like, she still wears her old gear and still like sings coming out to the ring. And but like, I don't know who it is. I've got my suspicions about who it is, but someone's teaching her English gradually. But like every so often she will tweet. The latest one was words learned today, simp.
Yeah, simp.
And one of them was, I think, pearl necklace. Was a recent one. And like, so someone who's just only teaching her rude words. But I mean, I was the actual same. Like, I started learning Hindi when I was at grad school. And as soon as I started learning Hindi, I texted an Indian friend of mine. It's like, yo, I've started learning Hindi. Teach me all the swear words.
Yeah,
that's all that's on the Rosetta Stone is the Luthien swear words.
The Leafinish swear words.
Dr. Rune is teaching you to curse and nothing else.
Well, Curse and I, when we were in Mage Hand, we you missed this show, Curse. I'm so sorry, but we were supporting this band called Mushakusha.
Oh yeah,
they're like underground heavy metal from Japan, and they came over and they have an interpretive dancer as one of their members, and he's slowly learning English, and like the frontman like thanked everyone, and then like this guy who's the dancer came over, and he just like, my dick is very small. And everyone's
my
like, yeah!
That's so good. Dude, I saw a Ore ska band at Warp Tour, and like their leader, I guess, is the trombone player, and she was just like, fuck, I don't know fucking English. Fuck, let's fucking dance. Fucking shit, fuck. And like, just kept saying that. Everybody was going fucking nuts.
What I admire about Makito is she'd learned enough English to to plug her merch at the end of her match when she wrestled in London. So she was just saying, I'm very poor. I need money. So you buy t-shirts.
That's so good. That's like awesome. I've seen a couple of like J-pop concerts recently, like Kairi Pamu and like Perfume and stuff, and they'll like go out on stage, and I guess they just have like pre-written things in like katakana, so they're just like kind of reading along from a book, and it's like always my favorite part. Like I love all the music and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I really want to see the songs, but I will never complain about like the 5-minute like conversations that like these artists are trying to have with the crowd in a completely different language that they like. Yeah, it's so good.
You and I went and saw Bandmade. Not together, but on two subsequent nights.
Like, so fucking good.
But my point in bringing it up was, though, that your podcast is about Japanese wrestling, isn't it?
It is, yes. Yeah, it's mostly historical stuff like we do. I mean, we review WrestleMania every year, and that's about the limit of our engagement with Western wrestling. And mostly, as it was this year, is us saying, this is kind of shit, wasn't it? Yeah, but I had a good time ripping the piss out of it with my mates. But yeah, mostly it's just historical Japanese wrestling storylines and matches and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just sort of random ephemera to do with that. It's kind of quite an irreverent take on it. So, like, we know there's podcasts where they cover more stuff and they've got a greater depth of knowledge, but we kind of... I don't know how many, like, people get, like, some of the references to old, like, Scottish soccer games from, like, the 90s. Like, we have an audience of a sort. Like, I don't know why, but it's quite entertaining, yeah, and... We did once do an episode called "Football is Pro Wrestling," and football as in soccer, and we that was a bad mistake because we were recording for about 4.5 hours.
Oh my God.
And I was like,
we know what that's like.
Yeah. I was like, okay, we'll get all the football chat out of our system. And then when we come back to doing the regular episodes, we won't go off on weird tangents about it. And that was a colossal failure on every score.
So yeah, if you're listening, go check out George's podcast.
Yeah, it's great. I can plug it at the end if you like. And
yeah, we're going to
plug it in the front and plug it in the middle and plug it at the end. It'll be great. There'll be no unplugged holes.
I'll keep an eye on my timer on my recording, and every 5 minutes I'll make sure we get another plug in.
All right, check us out. This is how I could have brought us back in, so I'm gonna do it now. Boom, rewind. We're talking about football again, right? And you were saying that the first Final Fantasy game you ever played was Final Fantasy IX. Mm-hmm. There was a great meme about a footballer, Zinedine Zidane.
Yes,
and Zidane is the main character of Final Fantasy IX, the 9th in the Final Fantasy installment, and we're back in.
Hell yeah.
Well, we're not playing Final Fantasy IX. We're playing 8 less than that.
9 minus 8, that's what they called it when it first came out.
They actually used to just call this the Great Final Fantasy. And then it just became Final Fantasy 1.
It was the penultimate fantasy once number 2 came out. Yeah, so we got to get into this Mirage Tower.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So if you forgot your bell, you got to go and find parking again and walk all the way back. And
because I didn't get those spells, so I actually had to do the whole walk multiple times, and I was like, this blows.
Yeah, that walk sucks, because I wanted to see, if there was anything like worth checking out, and I was kind of like, oh, there'll be a shop there, which I didn't find, so that's why I went there first, and then I was like, oh shit, I just need to, go see Une, and I was like, yeah, it wasn't that hard to get there, and then like, I was like running out of time that I could play, and I was just like, I need to find this fucking thing, like I have to go.
Yeah, I gave myself plenty of time this time, because I knew that we were going to get real gross with it.
You also gave us a heads up about that like several days ago, and I did not heed that warning. I'm like, I'll be fine.
So finding this Mirage Tower is pretty easy, but what happens if you come here without the bell/chime?
I think you just can't go in. I think I tried that earlier without even really realizing that there was anything, and you just like walk up to it and you can't go into it. So
Okay. It's a mirage. You just walk right through it.
Oh,
Maybe that's what.
maybe so.
I don't think you walk through it. I think you just like bonk into it.
Bonk.
There's some quite hard enemies in the desert as well around it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I didn't get a lot of encounters, but yeah, there were some toughies out there.
Yeah, there's like the Tyros, it's called on mine. It's basically the T-Rex.
Yep.
And-
It's
and-
just a fucking dinosaur.
It's just
There's an Allosaurus in mine, yeah.
lots of dinosaurs in this desert, presumably here for all the rich vegetation they like to feed on. Well, there is actually one called a T-Rex, which is like the souped-up version of the Tyros, which is it's a dinosaur like a friend of a friend. He couldn't remember the name, and he just called it the big man from Jurassic Park.
the big man.
It just makes me think of a Mighty Boosh gag. Are you, George? Are you familiar with the Mighty Boosh?
You know what? I've never actually seen an episode of it. I
highly
have loads of
recommend.
friends who really like it. I've never seen it.
High recommend.
There's a character who I think interestingly is like the only like American actor on that show, but he always in the first season they work at a zoo and he's like the head zookeeper or whatever, but he can never remember the name of the animals. So there's always just gags of him being like, he's like, the long man, the long mover. And they're like, what are you talking? And they're like, you talking about the snakes? And he's like, yeah, the long mover.
Our first stop today on the tour is the largest animal in the zoo, the gray leg-face man.
What?
You know, the gray leg-face. He's got legs and another leg on his face.
The elephants.
Well, yeah, if you want to get technical, Mr. Smarty Pants.
I also bumped into the actual sandworm this time, not a gigasworm.
Yeah.
It's just a strips. It's
yeah.
drooling from the mouth, which is like it's very thirsty.
Thirsty boy.
This is drooling.
I know I said it last time. We about to Muad'Dib this motherfucker.
But yeah, the Mirage Tower.
Yeah, Mirage Tower. So Mirage Tower itself is not awful, I found.
It's not very hard to navigate.
Yeah, that's the big thing, right?
It's more of a test of just stamina and like just toughness more than like patience, because it's just where you have to go.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these dungeons in this game are very maze-like, and this one seems to be just more like, here's where to go, no big deal, get through it.
Yeah, if you don't care about treasure, you can pretty much just skip the first floor. Like the door to the second floor is right by the entrance.
Which I ended up doing.
I
I was running short on time.
Like a big
also,
dummy.
our walkthrough did not clarify what was in each of the chests.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too. So, just
I got
like
him.
a quick peek behind the curtain. It's been kind of a crazy, however long it's been since the last time we recorded, and I didn't have as much time to play. Like usually Saturdays are my day to like play through and like get ready for the podcast and everything. But we're recording on Saturday this week, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll have time. And I spent a lot of my time doing the power leveling that we were talking about last week with the evil eye. And I want to bring this up because I was like, I wonder how many of these things I killed. Because I had to go back and forth a couple of times to get there. I was power leveling, and I was like, this is taking a lot longer than I expected it to. So it turns out, in my version of the game, they completely nerfed the power leveling.
Oh, really?
So when you kill the evil eye, you're supposed to get 3,225 experience points, and then the same amount in gil. And I was getting 806 experience points, and then the same amount of gil.
So I wonder, because I was only getting 800 per person. But 800 per person is 3,200 experience.
No, because I think when I'm looking on like the fandom and everything, it says or when I look in like the bestiary of the thing that I fought, it says it gives out 3,225 experience and 3,225 gil, but it gives out like a fourth less than that when you go back and try to power level, at least in my version.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say like a fourth of that is how much I was getting per person.
No, because I think the first time you got the same amount, and then this time it's just like, it gives you way less, which is still good, and it's still like a good way to farm, but I was kind of expecting it to be much more. And I looked, and I realized that I had fought it 76 times, fought and defeated it 76 times, and I was like, okay, this is taking a little too long. So then I get here, and the next area that we're going to go, and the Evil Eye is just a fucking random encounter that you have in here, and I was like, oh my god.
Well, no, I think the thing is that, like, there's nowhere you can fight with that frequency. And so even though the Evil Eye doesn't have the most experience you can get, it's the most experience you can get over an amount of time because you can force that encounter.
Yeah. Okay, then that makes me feel a lot better because I was like, oh my god, maybe they just like decided to make that as a patch in a later version. I was like, god damn.
So let me tell
these
you
people are getting too good at leveling.
The 3 things that you missed on the first floor in order of importance.
Yeah.
The heal helmet, okay? Which is the third in importance. It casts heal 2. So it's important, but it's not as important because there's another one coming up, and you can afford to get rid of one. Yeah. The second is the Vorpal Blade.
Vorpal?
Vorpal, yeah. Which is supposed to have extra critical damage, but I'm playing on the NES, so it doesn't matter. It does nothing. And it's weaker than the swords I already have, so whatever. But most importantly, the Aegis shield. Best shield for the fighter.
It's actually Aegith.
Consider me wrecked.
But the layout of this floor is mostly just concentric circles. And on the upper side, there is another one of these robots. I don't know if you've talked to.
Are we still on the first floor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the first floor, on the upper side of the screen.
Oh, I did talk to him.
He just says,
Master, we've waited so long.
Yeah, right. I guess maybe because we have the cube or the chime. He thinks that we're a master.
I'm not sure which floor it's on, but it's right before a staircase, so I'm assuming it's the first floor. He says,
one of us flew to the west, taking the warp cube with him.
I think on the second or third floor, there's a robot by the stairs.
Yeah, that might be the one that I'm thinking of, then.
Yeah.
There's the cube that I've been after, Master.
Where's that cube that I've been after?
But that's cool. They kind of like explained what happened to their. It's just like the mermaid before. Like, oh yeah, we had a buddy who went out with our cube. I wonder how it happened.
Ties it together. Yeah.
But there's I don't know what they look like in your game, but there's these light up panels, which later I think are implied to be kind of ancient computer tiles.
Yeah.
There's something similar to that. They don't light up or animate or anything, but
ours they kind of blink red. They're like another slab, but they have kind of glyphs in them that kind of glow and blink.
That makes sense. They're here at least. They're just like solid gray in my game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you all see the return of the first boss?
The
vampire.
Vampire.
The vampire. I thought you were going to say the Black Knight.
Black Knight's here.
It's Garland, he's back.
Oh, Garland. Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Garland's back.
That's what I thought you meant.
Yeah,
that's what I thought too. Like,
sorry. I guess actually maybe it's like the third boss. There's like Garland and then the pirate.
You're talking about
the first quote unquote fiend. Yeah.
The fiend's underling.
Yeah. So they're vampires here. They appear in sets now instead of just by themselves, and are a joke. So
yeah, they're no problem now because at this point I have 2 of the light axes, which cast Dia 2 or Diara. So just attack with my fighter and my ninja, and then Dia 2 with both my mages, and it's no problem.
Like a dullard, once again, I sold both of my light axes. Because like last episode, you were like, "Oh yeah, those do this," and I was like, oh, "Do they? I've already sold them." I sold them immediately. So, whoops.
That's okay. The box is empty.
Did you all encounter anything called a guardian?
It's called Guard in the NES version, I think.
They're really creepy.
Yeah. They look kind of like.
Do you have a picture of yours, Alex?
They reminded me a lot of the Breath of the Wild Guardians.
Looking at concept art, it actually looks like it's supposed to be kind of like. Ooh, kind of some body horror stuff. Gross, where there's like legs, these 2 kind of rudimentary like robot arms, and then like a dome head on top with these little.
Interesting.
It's really bulbous. I can see that the NES sprite is not as clear, but it looks like some kind of horrifying like robot zombie like thing that's kind of crawling around.
The arms are like twice as long as its body.
Yeah. Well, it was like on mine. It was because it's the 8-bit sprites. I was like, man, this looks really fucked up. That's kind of why I was like, I wonder what they are in the other ones. But yeah, that's about what they would look like, real fucking twisted and weird like that.
I just assumed they were like robots.
Yeah, I guess they are kind of robots. I'm trying to find a sprite from.
How about did y'all fight the blue dragon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
The white eyes blue dragon.
Yeah, that's on the third floor, I think.
Yeah,
they so you find them, but they also are or can be random encounters.
Oh, yeah. Actually, no, I didn't get it as a random encounter on the second floor. I just kept coming across like cockatrices and perilisks in incredibly large numbers, which was kind of very scary. Also got my favorite enemy name in the game, which is the Catman.
Yeah, Catman.
All I could think of was Catman's World.
Catman's World.
I also want to point out that I greatly appreciate that you went with Scatman's World instead of his much bigger hit, his much more overplayed hit, I'm a Scatman, Dabba Dabba Da.
I'm a Catman.
Scatman's World is such a good song.
It's the thinking person's I'm the Scatman.
Yeah. It's when you want to feel something.
Scatman's World.
They're both very inspiring songs, but Scatman's World will make you want to make the world even better.
My rule of thumb with politics is, because we've had a load of shift to the right by the Democrats and our ostensible centre-left party, my rule is I will not vote for you if your policy platform is to the right of the one articulated in Scatman's World.
Oh my god. Hell yeah. That's how I'm gonna live my life now as well. Holy shit.
I'm gonna make a fucking Vice article that has Scatman and it says new face of the left.
may he rest.
Tell me about the colour of your soul.
Yeah, tell me about the color of your soul.
So
well, this is Dawn of Souls in my version.
Oh, and we're back in.
Oh my god.
So on the second floor, we can find some more treasure. There's a lot of gold or gil in this tower, so I've kind of just not taken pictures and notes of those because
this looks like a server room. There's a lot of computers lining their walls in here.
But you can get the dragon mail. It's a good armor for the knight. The sun sword, a good weapon.
Gotta deliver that dragon mail.
That's the one that Solaire uses, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Again, fighter, probably ninja, red wizard. And I was wrong. We don't have the white mage's best weapon. This is the white mage's best weapon.
Oh, okay.
The Thor hammer.
Hell yeah.
Thor hammer or Thor hammer?
Thor. What is Thor's hammer's name? Mjolnir.
Meow meow. Meow meow.
Yeah,
Meow meow.
Nyam cat.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as the Halo armor, right?
Same thing as the Zeus gauntlets. At least.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, which is great because now I can actually give the Zeus gauntlets to somebody else and have them cast Bolt 2, and now the white mage can cast it by selecting the Thor's hammer. Also, I was wrong about equipping and not equipping the weapons. You can use the item as a weapon, or the weapon as an item, even if you have it equipped.
Oh, you just go into equipment?
The menu options, I think, on the different games are different. In mine, you just go to item, and that's where it is. Like, your potions are under the command drink in this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you have to go under item.
I've used that command a lot.
We've all had to use that command to get through these times. But yeah, so now we have two methods of casting Bolt 2. Handy.
Hell yeah.
But this is only the beginning of the floor, because like or of the tower, because like we said, there's three floors to it. You go up one more. That's where we have the scripted encounter with the blue dragon, who is a motherfucker unless you kill him on your first go round. Like, if you kill him on your first go round, no problem. But he can really wreck you. He can do some serious fucking damage to all the characters at once. So be careful.
So yeah, on the third floor, we after the dragon, we find ourselves in this kind of little terminal, and there's another robot friend there. In mine, he says,
Use the warp cube to travel beyond the sky.
Yeah, he says,
It will take you to the flying fortress.
Yeah. So we could come here earlier if we had the chime and not the cube, and this is as far as we would get.
Yeah. So then you'd have to back
2 key items for 1 dungeon. Or is it?
Yeah.
Is it one dungeon? That's kind of debatable. Like it feels like it because there's like
I'd
no.
call it one. Yeah.
Because there's no breaks
yes.
between the two parts.
Yeah. So what I'm kind of curious about is what does the Sky Fortress look like in your game once we step on the transporter and we actually go to the floating castle?
Boink. It kind of reminds me of something from like Shadow of the Colossus because it's very.
Is it suspended in blackness?
Mine is suspended in the clouds.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see clouds underneath it.
It's very blue and kind of turquoise in its kind of color scheme.
Gotcha. Yeah, mine is like just gunmetal gray. Like everything is gray. The floor is black. Outside of the castle is just black. It's just the abyss. Is like what I'm walking around in.
Wow.
And I was just like, yeah, this is fucking demented. I'm loving it.
It's super cool, though. I mean, it looks very similar.
Super cool.
I mean, it looks very similar to any other castle. I mean, even like the Sunken Shrine, but the only difference is that
Clouds instead of water.
clouds instead of wood
Yeah.
or whatever
Water,
that that brine pool that we were talking about last time.
This also feels less like a dungeon than any other dungeon we've been to thus far.
Yeah, it's not really
Yeah.
hard to navigate. There's a lot of loot and a lot of really intense encounters up here.
Yeah.
I mean, up here because I think we're now above the earth. Is
Yeah.
that what plane we're on? Yeah. But there's a lot of a lot of tough baddies because they're just throwing right at us like Black Knights and Spirit Nagas, air elementals,
So
Yeah, there's also the Doom
Medusas.
Knight.
Doom Knight.
I'm assuming that the Doom Knight and the Black Knight or Dark Knight or whatever that you're fighting is a different character that I have in my game. And they're called Bad Man and Evil Man. So
Evil Badman.
so I would say once again NES takes it with better names.
Bad Man is just
I'm an
the
evil man.
Tag yourself, I'm a bad man.
Bad Man is just the heel turn that the wrestler Rikishi did in the 90s Attitude Era when he hit Stone Cold Steve Austin with a limo, I think.
I once had like a guy tried to describe Rikishi to someone who had never seen wrestling before, and he just said he was a big fat man who loved dancing and showing his ass. It's what wrestling's all about.
It's true. It's very true.
Whomst amongst us doesn't enjoy. So like you were saying, the layout's kind of interesting too, because when we get to the first floor, there's just 4 ways to go, and each way immediately leads to a room, right? Like there's no circuitous paths or anything like that. It's just straight to where we need to go. And the whole dungeon's kind of built that way, like in a very what would you call, like form follows function kind of way, right?
Yeah, it's not really meant to confuse us. I mean, it does seem very like intentional. Like, you know, this is how it was designed, and it also is still very functional. It's not falling apart. It's not like a naturally occurring thing like the volcanoes or the ice caves or anything like that.
Yeah.
This is the most functioning man-made dungeon we've been in so far.
Right. But right off the bat, we can go south and get the Bane sword, which casts Bane if used as an item, which is an instant kill move of
Oh, hell yeah.
of poison. So, because like again in this game, poison is instant death for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh,
And put a pin in that. We're gonna come back to it. Okay, so put a pin in the Bane sword. We'll be back to the Bane sword in a minute.
You merely adopted the floating castle. I was born in it.
I was trying to think of something.
We can get another protect ring here, and some monies, and then we can go up to the next floor, which is kind of more of the same, right? Like it's just instead of 4 directions, I think it's 8 directions on the second floor.
Split. It's still again like it's like a snowflake.
Yeah, just like a one of us triggered liberals.
There's a lot of good loot in here.
No 2 of us alike.
And there's a very important item in the southwest side of this room.
Yes,
Yeah.
there is. The adamant.
Adamantite?
Is it
adamantite?
Is that what it is?
I think it's adamantite and ours.
Adamant.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Adam and the ants.
But yeah, we heard about this at the dwarf caves or dwarf mines. Remember?
Feels like an entire lifetime ago.
Yeah, seriously.
I guess we can make a sword or something with that.
Yes, we can. And I left the dungeon to go do this right now.
Ooh.
So I actually went to the dwarf cave and had him forge the adamant into the Excalibur, the
nice.
best weapon for the knight.
Steiner.
It's for Steiner. That's right. You can only get it if you beat the game in under 9 hours or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Big Papa Pump battle, but Steiner.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That move shock does 9999 every time. Love it. Anyway,
in ours, the crystal. It's a crystal that it looks like it's made like a kind of a fuchsia.
Yeah.
Like crystal in ours. I don't know.
Some amethyst.
I imagine something like a metal.
All right.
Originally.
I like it. You can find the white and black armor here as well.
Oh, nice. I'm guessing that's for the white and black wizards or mages.
Yeah. So at this point in the game, I don't know if you all were having this or dealing with this. I can't carry any more armor, so every time I want to pick something up, I have to throw something away. Like every time.
Oh,
and
that
like
sucks.
to the point where like I would want spells. I'd be like, okay, well I have the healing helmet, but I have to unequip and toss something if I want that. Like, because it's not going to be as good. So I actually started having to make like these like calls of like, I guess I'm just going to take less defense so that I can have this item because it's so useful. And the white armor casts Invis 2, I believe, through using it.
That's huge.
That's huge. That's huge. So yeah,
that kind of takes away a need for defense as well because it makes it way less likely that you'll get hit.
Exactly. So
there is a chest here. I can't remember what floor it's on, but like this is a really cool trick by the programmers because like if you try and open the chest, it tells you can't because you're carrying too much. Yeah. So it's like there might be some cool bit of armor in there. So say you drop, I don't know, like
it's the next one. It's the next one.
Is it? Yeah. And you open it and it's some fucking cloth.
Yeah, it's the next floor. So other than that, there's just mostly Gil here. Or I think there's like an opal bracelet. But yes, on the next floor that we go up, there's only a couple chests. And the one in the furthest reaches of it, like the one that's hardest to get to, is just cloth. And it's the last one you pick up. So like there's nothing good coming after it. So like you throw away some incredibly useful piece of equipment and you get the very first starting piece of armor that costs like 10 Gil.
Ugh. You hate to see it.
You hate to see it. But speaking of the next floor, so once we're done getting the adamant and the different items that we want, we go up there, and this floor is like jacked up. Like it's all messed up.
Okay, yeah, so we come on here. It is like the first thing I see is a large dome in the middle of the room.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And with a robot next to it, I talked to him first, and he said,
From this observation window, you can look out on the entire world.
and so I do. I look in the window, and there's like it looks like a dome, a kind of like a viewfinder.
Yeah, it's crazy. You look at the world and you see that it's actually flat.
It is in this one. And every time we go around the world, we're going to a different dimension. So we're just like we left our own world.
Oh my God.
To die.
So what does it say or show when you look into that viewing glass?
For me, the first thing, a text window comes up and says, "The observation window looks out upon the world. The four forces of fire, earth, water, and wind appear as a mist converging on a single point. At a point at the center of the four altars. This must be the location of the Chaos Shrine." And then it actually shows the map and all these different colored like energy coming from all the locations we have converging at the Chaos Shrine, which I think is where we fought
Garland.
Garland.
Yeah.
Ooh. Might be making a trip.
Go all the way back.
Might be making a trip back there in our future. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So yeah, I would like to point out that in this floor, we experienced the greatest plot twist and reversal of the entire game, because now instead of the cat man, there are the man cats. Which I imagine is like a centaur that's like a man body with a horse head.
I think for us it was just the Rakshasas or something like that, maybe.
Rakshasa?
Which are also the Catmen, but they're green.
Okay. Yeah, that would be the one. Yeah. The Pro Cape is here. which in my game is a shield. It doesn't have the shield icon, but it's equipped as a shield for some reason.
So it's like a Mario cape.
Yeah. It's Mario's forward and B move
Yeah.
in Smash.
Yeah, that sounds about
is that right?
My mind immediately went to Super Mario Brothers World, where you can use it to
Not
like
Super
damage
Scrap
boost
Man
and
World.
not lose it and stuff. There's all kinds of weird tech you can do with that.
Love it. Is there anything better than a good Super Mario World race speedrun?
Oh, it's so good.
No, there isn't. It's the greatest thing of all time.
It's always fun.
I also encountered another room that actually, this is where I was actually able to interact with some of the computers.
Oh.
Yeah, so there were a few tiles around. I think they all said the same thing, but it said analyzing Tiamat, no known weaknesses. So it looks like they're like studying whatever the next fiend is.
Interesting.
That's funny. It's much funnier in mine.
Oh yeah, what's the same yours?
It says
Logging in Tiamat, processing data.
and that's it. Like
We're
I was
gonna
like, so wait, is Tiamat like logging into this console, or am I logging into Tiamat?
We're
Like, I
gonna
don't
steal his
understand.
Google Pay information. What a fool.
Tiamat's what Tor is called in this universe.
Yeah, right, yeah. Also here is the katana.
Oh, nice.
So good weapon for the ninjas. If you have them, I don't, and nobody else can equip it, so it's trash.
I have him, but I didn't get it because I was running out of time.
Oh, sorry
I just
to
had
hear
to
it.
make a beeline for Tiamat.
And then we get to the Lost Woods.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, so we take the I guess they're teleporters, not stairs here, but you go up one floor and it's a big, vast, repeating space that is. If you just want to get through it quick, go directly diagonal and in.
Either direction, I think.
Yeah, I went southeast.
So did I.
But it repeats because the location, the other teleport you're looking for is just a diagonal line straight from there.
And there's nothing here, so
nothing to find. There's plenty of enemies out here. I bumped into a Dracula Lord or something like that, a vampire Lord.
hell yeah.
Oh shit! I was gonna say there's an enemy called Wizard Vampire in this one, and I was like, oh shit! How fucking nuts can this game get with this shit? Like this is so stupid. Like there's already been like a wizard mummy in my game, and
They're pulling bingo balls with different creatures.
They really
are.
They just made one of those things where it's like, what is your Final Fantasy enemy name? Your birth month is wizard. Your
mom's
birthday
maiden
is
name,
zombie.
The last four
God.
digits of your social security number.
But
The
yeah,
make and model of your first car.
yeah. Oh, this is where we fight Air. By the way.
Oh hell yeah!
It's just
Element.
a tornado with named Air. So
Yeah, I usually would
Exciting.
see a spirit Naga hanging out with Air.
hanging out with Air.
Yeah, the
It's just
Nagas
a-
are the most I think Eastern influenced monsters I've seen in this game so far,
Maybe.
which are like the snake serpents with like the lady face on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
even the name's Naga.
I think as like the games go on, they start to bring in more of those influences as well. Because like I said, this is very just like D&D as shit.
Yeah, just
Right.
very Western fantasy, like
Yeah.
like an Eastern take on a Western fantasy.
I fought some fire hydras and they got the jump on me. They were a pain because they all were just there was like 3 or 4 of them and they're all blasting me with fireballs.
The fire hydras in Shelbyville are yellow. All right, that's good. No, that's good. We can end on that note.
No, let's all enjoy a nice, cool glass of turnip juice.
But then up to the 5th floor.
5th floor.
Important.
Fifth floor.
Let's just talk about it now. Let's just do it now. All right.
Hell yeah.
So the 5th floor has sentries and guards and all kinds of enemies. And these enemies can fucking whip your ass too. Like, it's just a hallway. Like, the 5th floor is just a one-tiled hallway from the bottom of the screen where you teleport in to the top of the screen where we're going to fight the fiend at, right?
I think it's 64 steps up to the fiend.
Is it?
Is what I read because of this thing we're about to talk about.
Okay.
The famous
like how many-
Nintendo number. The number that Nintendo invented.
I fought some things called black flan, which is the gooey creatures, but like think of it as like they're named after like a pastry is really funny.
Yeah.
Do you remember when
Treat.
flan was a meme?
Oh, man, I do. You remember
It's like
Giga
very
Putty?
weird. It was like when there was a different meme every month and everyone like kept track of it and made like calendars and stuff.
Yep.
I can't remember if it was pre or post Dat Boy, the frog on the unicycle, but anyway.
But
Dark
there's-
Fighters is another one. I think it's like the Dark Knight or whatever they call him here.
That's the baddest man.
The baddest.
The baddest man. The worst man.
Worst man.
But so yeah, I think we're about to talk about an enemy, which I think in the NES version you're always guaranteed to encounter at least once, but in mine it's truly random.
No.
No?
I had to come back. I actually came back a second time to fight him.
Okay.
Nice.
So you don't automatically see him. He's 1 out of every 64 encounters.
Oh, it's 1 out of... I read somewhere that it was 3 out of 64, but I...
Yeah, the probability table I've got says 4.7%, but I had a lot more than... I fought a lot more than 20 battles when I was up until about 2:30 in the morning, like searching for this motherfucker, and I had work in the morning.
Oh no.
So the motherfucker in question is, I think, in the NES version called WARMECH.
WARMECH.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In ours, or mine at least, it's called Death Machine.
Death Machine. What is yours, Carl?
Damn. I did not find it.
Nice.
Oh.
In true me form, I did not finish the super boss on the...
Well, get in your car, go sit in traffic.
Exactly, yeah. I can see if I can encounter it now while you guys are talking.
I fast forwarded and it took me a while to find him.
I wanted to ask a question actually about that, because you know how I think on the NES version, I don't know what it is on the other versions, but even if you reload your game, you always get the encounters in the same order, so it's not truly randomized. Like I always used to be petrified of when I was unequipped and unarmored at the start of the game, coming across a mad pony. Because they were just kicking my ass, and if I saved my game, I liberally abused the save state on the mini NES, and then I loaded it, and the first encounter was a mad pony. I was like, okay, well I'm basically fucked now. So what I wanted to know is, like, is it possible to basically soft lock yourself if you hadn't been using multiple files and you use the save state, and then the first encounter is the WARMECH, and it's always the WARMECH from that moment on whenever you load your game up?
Well, I don't think
it's not truly randomized.
It's like when I autosave when I'm falling off a cliff in Skyrim and I keep clicking.
well, you wouldn't soft lock yourself per se, like with the hardcore term soft lock, because worst case scenario, you would die and game over and go back to your last save.
Oh, that is true, actually. Yeah. I never thought about that.
But you may be right. If you were out of exits and you didn't have any options, you may just have to take the L.
Yeah, I mean, you can escape, but like you probably will die by the time.
WARMECH is a motherfucker. So Carl was talking about power leveling. So I actually went through this whole area. I did what needed to be done. I went and power leveled at the Evil Eye in the Ice Cave.
Yeah.
For a good long while. I think I watched 3 episodes of Family Guy. And then I came back up here and fought him. So by that time I was like level 30. So I was like up in levels at that point. I was ready to go. I was probably like 26 coming through here the first time.
Yeah, 26 was I had like the optimized equipment and I had all 3 ribbons.
Yeah.
It was still a bit tasty, this battle.
Yeah.
I'm at level 49 for everyone.
Okay.
And this still was a challenge. I mean, I'm cheating. Sorry, because I have to edit half the week and play the other half.
Right. Yeah.
So I have less time to play with. So I've been using my Game Shark or whatever. But yeah, I'm at level 49 and I still had a hard time with this a lot.
Yeah. So
with 999 HP, and I was like, oh shit.
WARMECH uses an attack called is it nuke? It uses nuke? Yeah, it uses nuke.
Mine is nuke.
And it hits all of your party members, and Lord, does it do damage. So
for me it did almost like an average of 300.
About 300 damage, yeah. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So it fucking dishes damage out.
If it just rolls that a couple of times in a row, then there's like nothing you can do. It's just like not a one shot, but pretty damn close.
Yeah.
I think in ours also the WARMECH or Death Machine has 2,000 HP.
Yep.
But every turn, I think it recovers. It has the ability to recover 100 of it back.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think
depending on how strong your guys are, it's really hard to kind of fight that that recovery.
Yeah.
Because you're dishing out. Maybe for me, I'm dealing 200 or 300 damage, but it's still like I have to recover, spend the other have the turn recovering.
Yeah, because it does so much damn damage to you. So like you spend a turn recovering, you don't do any damage, and then it just recovers another 100 HP.
Yeah, and I think I saw somewhere in my research of it that like it works differently in the NES version than it does in the
it's
in
bugged.
our version.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So-
bugged in maybe a good way where
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't recover as much. Yeah.
It doesn't recover.
No, it doesn't.
It just doesn't. Yeah.
yeah.
So-
So a good bug for the first time
Yeah,
ever.
it's funny because the bugs at the beginning of the NES game make it like more difficult than the other versions of the game. But as the game goes on, it's skewed entirely the other way. That like all the bugs actually end up being like well in your favor by the end of the game.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
like the critical hits, like I'm doing critical hits every turn. At this
Yeah,
point.
I think it's only got 1,000 HP on the NES version. I say only
Yeah.
1,000. That's still quite a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
which is still nuts.
We'll put it this
Yeah,
way:
like-
it's bugged enough in my favor that I finished the fight with all of my characters alive, which is crazy.
Yeah, same.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had I have all my characters starting at like 900, 999, and there was one point in this encounter where Archie is the only one standing. He had 30 he only had like 30 HP left, and I somehow managed to like get Hot Dog back up and then and then throw on I somehow was able to slowly get everyone back in without getting everyone killed again, and then I managed to take him out. Like, but it took a while.
Yeah,
even though I was cheating.
I would say it pretty much relies on getting the fast spell on your monk and your knight. Because
Yeah.
that allows them to do more damage and hit more criticals. And the thing is, he has so much defense in this game. And so I don't know if we've ever mentioned this, but at least for the NES version, criticals don't just do more damage, they ignore defense. So
Oh wow.
if I would be to hit the enemy and like because of their defense, say do like 50 damage instead of the 100, and then I did a critical, I would do the full 200 damage instead of just the 50 times 2. So criticals in this are necessary for the end game.
Yeah, I saw pretty much the strategy here is to buff your fighters as much as possible, and then pretty much just use your like white mage for healing, and like defensive stuff, and basically just pray.
yeah, right. It's definitely some luck.
Yeah, I must have got real lucky because I didn't use fast on this because my attitude was basically it's kill or be killed. So I was just bombarding it with. I had 2 fighters, so I just used attack, and I used nuke with the Black Wizard because it's got big magic resistance, but what else are you going to do that's more effective? Yeah, and then heal 3 with the White Mage, and just basically rinse and repeat that strat.
Yeah,
and so it wasn't the most interesting fight, but it's kind of like one of these where you're just going all out, and I got lucky in that my White Wizard, because of the turn order, sometimes your White Wizard will go first and you'll be at full health, and then it will just heal, and then it will hit you with nuclear.
Yeah,
so
right.
Because I've been playing Final Fantasy 12 a lot quite recently, and because of the Gambit system and that, you can set it so once a guy's HP goes below 50%, your White Mage uses Cura. Whereas with this, you kind of have to pre-heal almost in a way. And just hope that there's some damage to heal. So I got quite lucky in that respect, and I think it only used attack the turn where it didn't use nuclear because it usually opens with that.
Yeah.
So I think all 4 of my guys survived, but I was really struggling. Like all but one of my fighters. I think Troy was the only one on treble figures of health.
Troy, Troy's our boy. But yeah, so. First super boss in a Final Fantasy game. How about that?
Yeah.
Do you all manage to beat him?
I beat him.
Yep.
Good.
I will let you know.
He has an absolute ton of experience and gold that he drops too.
No, girl, that's the 15 puzzle again.
No, that's the true. That's my true super boss.
I was gonna say that's truly the original super boss. What was I gonna say?
There's an actual boss here too.
There's also an actual boss here. Yeah,
which is actually still pretty tough.
Yeah. As a matter of fact.
I felt this was the first time that I really faced a fiend that I thought was like had the gravity to it in the battle that it deserves, because I was kind of expecting, okay, well, I did a little bit of power leveling for WARMECH. I'll take this thing down and then start grinding for WARMECH. But I actually kind of had some trouble with this, and he knocked out my black mage before I finished the.
So before we get too far into the battle, I will say that the text beforehand is that lightning erupts from the fiend's ball this time. and he says, I, Tiamat, the fiend of wind, will put an end to your adventure. And we get into it.
My adventure, no!
Adventure!
Yeah, in mine he says, well done, humans. You have defeated all but one fiend, Tiamat of wind. Your luck ends here, however. The sky shall be your tomb.
Ooh, that's good.
I really like that. I like that a lot.
Mine was very, I think, similar. So mine has like the two-face thing where you're talking to the ball. But the Lich, Merilith, the Kraken. You have defeated 3 fiends and reached my lofty perch. And he transforms, revealing himself.
Nice.
More the better. May the image of Tiamat, the fiend of wind, be the last to burn in your eyes.
Ooh.
That's pretty cool.
That's good. I like it.
It's pretty cool. And he's a 5-headed dragon? 6-headed dragon.
Yeah. Well, let me count.
Very,
6.
Very late game original Zelda boss.
4 in mine. But yeah. The multi-headed dragon. Yeah.
Do you think he's related to Bahamut?
That's a good question. I think he's more related to the worms.
Wait, did we see Bahamut in this game?
Yeah, he gave us a
Yeah.
That's right. He was a good guy. That's right.
he gave us our promotion.
That's right. Oh, by the way, I went back and checked up on that question. You don't have to class change in this game.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
You can just not do it.
Nice. So if you have the black belt party, then you don't want to.
Right. Actually, I learned how that works too. So after the class change, the reason that the master has a downgrade is absorb, which is defense in this game, gets tied to your level. So whatever your level is your defense.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a downgrade, but I guess after enough time, you could have it be an upgrade. But like at no point did I reach that level.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Tiamat.
Yeah.
Tiamat?
Tiamat. Janet.
Uncle.
So what's this fight like? It's just
Uncle
not
Mott,
much really.
Or is that aunt in Spanish? I forget. I think Tio is uncle in.
Yes.
Yeah. Is Tia aunt?
Yes.
Yeah. So we got to fight our aunt.
I'm gonna be real.
6 aunts.
Fuck you, Doctor Uno. We don't need no stinking slab with all the language skills right now.
I'm gonna be real irresponsible, and I'm actually gonna look it up because I was like, I don't know, I kind of just like smashed through this motherfucker. So let's see here.
I kind of just did my main strategy, which is haste, saber, and steel on my fighter, and just heal for the rest of it, and just have him dish out most of the damage. But it still took a lot longer than I expected it to. And it was able to take down my Black Knight by the end of it.
Oh, so in this game, Tiamat has 80 absorb or defense, which is the highest. Like that's ridiculous. So like a non-critical hit from any of my characters is like 15 damage. I was like,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense because my ninja also had haste and I think steel on it, and it did like 8 damage. So my fighter was doing like in the I think 200 to 300 range in each attack.
Okay.
And then I used holy with my white mage, and it did like 100, and I was like, good god.
Yeah, real rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I just gave him a 2 whacks and he was done.
Oh, really? So this actually took me a couple turns, and I ended up having enough time to put fog up on everybody or protect, and I was able to get multiple casts of it off. So I wasn't taking too much damage during the battle. I had the heal helmet and the heal staff, so I actually had 2 characters that could cast heal 2, which is not awesome. Enough to completely negate it. Like after enough time, Tiamat's still going to wear that down. But I had a good fortification against the boss, so I could actually drag this fight out as long as it needed to be.
Yeah, especially at this point in the game, using heal 2 really doesn't negate any of the damage that you get a lot of times.
No.
You're lucky if you break even, but having 2 of them, helps a little bit.
For sure. So, you remember that pin? Time to pull that pin back out.
Oh, yeah.
The Bane Sword. For whatever fucking reason, Tiamat is weak to poison.
Holy shit.
Poison, my only weakness.
So, death's my only weakness. How did you know? So you can just use the Bane Sword and one-hit KO Tiamat, just like from the get-go.
That's insane.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Wait, where did we find the Bane Sword in the tower or
in this tower in floor 1?
In floor 1 of the not the tower of
the
fortress.
Sky Fortress. Yes.
They just kept it in the basement.
Kept in the basement. That's where you keep like rat poison and stuff, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Are we any better as people?
I gotta find my rat sword.
Yeah, we keep bleach under the sink.
Yeah. Some like very adventurous, like the 4 animals of light, like cats and shit. They hold a bleach and they're like, "What a fool! This human kept bleach in their own house." They sleep right next to their ultimate weakness.
Yeah. So yeah, we're no better.
So fuck Tiamat.
Yeah,
You're done.
another fiend down.
Was he really doing anything though?
Yeah, he was stealing the wind from the Lufinian people.
But that was like 400 years ago. They've gotten over it by now, right?
Hear that, Native Americans? It's fun. Just get over it.
Listen, it's all behind us. It's just water on the bridge.
It's very, very easy to be like, no, like it's all behind us. Yeah.
Okay, but
I'm gonna steal that base from Carl's house. I'm gonna be like, it's been 10 minutes. Just get over it. It's behind us now. I can't believe you're still holding on to this.
Anyway,
sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying last episode, Carl said we were like deciding, we were trying to kind of figure out what we were doing with these crystals we were holding.
Yeah.
Versus these giant crystal we were approaching.
Yeah.
And I just noticed that in my little like cutscene after we beat the boss and we approach the crystal, one of our guys holds out the green crystal. We see a flash and then it's gone. So I'm guessing we may be like returning this crystal that we've
could be,
been carrying
but then
to the large crystal.
Still in our
so now
inventory,
maybe not. They're not charging us. We're charging it.
Could be.
Yeah. Or we're just like Apple paying. I don't know.
I was gonna say like some kind of weird PayPal scheme where like we're gonna charge they're gonna charge us, but then we ended up charging them.
Gentlemen,
get an OnlyFans subscription for 4 crystals a month.
Look who it is!
We got him.
We got him.
Carl has found WARMECH while we've been podcasting.
He instantly hit
play-by-play?
Yeah, he instantly hit my ninja, who now has 8 hit points left. I'm gonna do. Oh, I don't have much. All right, I'm gonna do shield 1. Oh wait, no, invis.
So I think they're called Death Machine in mine because it's a reference to FF7, which are those little like weird little robots with the weird floppy feet. They walk
weird,
around like ducks. So I think it's just like, oh yeah, they look like the ones from FF7. People like that.
If you want Carl to use Shield 2, text 1.
Leave a 5-star review now.
Leave a voicemail at 530-MATERIA. Tell us what you would like Carl's ninja to do.
I'm also like this is also after the fight with Tiamat, so it's like extra dicey. I like did not come fully prepared for this. But let's see how it goes. So my Black Knight is dead. It got hit with an attack that did more damage than it has maximum HP. So that sucks. Let's see. I'm gonna do.
I'm invested in the.
This is like when I'm. This is like when I'm. What's it called? Speed running, and I'm at like a part where I kind of need to pay attention, but I'm in the middle of the story and I don't want to like stop it. And then I'm like, what do I do?
Did you beat him on the toilet, Carl?
I did not. I got owned. The only one left is my white mage. I cast Invis. And
you can't see us if we don't move.
Yeah.
Which is true actually in most Final Fantasy. If you don't move, nothing attacks you.
Not until that damn ATB gauge starts to be a thing.
It used nuke and killed everything, so
well,
I got my fighter like prepped to attack, and then one attack killed him. So
there you have it.
It's the most catastrophic deaths that's happened while someone's on the toilet since Elvis.
So after we take care of Tiamat, in my game, there's like the first semblance ever of a cutscene. Because, like, mine never like shows me anything. And it's not really great. But, like, the square before I step on the teleporter to get out of here, the screen shakes a little bit and a dramatic sting plays.
Oh,
Yay!
nice.
And so that's the whole thing.
Something has changed
Something,
in the world.
yeah, it's the symbol that something is different now. But
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Somehow he's returned.
so, that's it for today. Yeah.
I think so.
So we have to
We've
decide.
all been killed by WARMECH, and that's the end of the game.
So
We've soft locked our game.
we have to actually make a decision right now about how we're going to do this podcast. Is the next episode the last episode, or is it the episode where we all play Alex's save file and do the extra dungeons with his OP fucking characters? Or we could have like a side story Alex corner where he comes in and tells us about the fucking side quests. Because I don't think there's any plot or anything. It's just like, oh, I went into the place and then killed this guy at the end.
No, yeah, I can send you the files. That'd be fun.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to.
Supplementary. We'll do that maybe as our kind of combination wrap up because I'm sure there isn't like a whole lot to.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because for Final Fantasy VII, we did a wrap up, and that's a very narrative heavy thing. We have a
Yeah.
lot to talk about.
Right.
This is like world saved, probably. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So
All right.
that's what I'm assuming it's gonna be. So let's do a wrap up and like our little bonus dungeon corner.
Okay. So next episode, we'll do the end of the game. Right?
The end.
So what I suggest people do if they're playing it, you can go right to the end. You can go to the Temple of Fiends or whatever they want to call it, which is
Chaos Temple
Yeah.
or whatever it's called here.
is the place that we fought Garland originally. So that's the way to the end of the game. You just go there and do it. I suggest, if you're playing along with us at home, that you go back to Crescent Lake and talk to the sages again, because they have all
nice.
brand new dialogue.
We're gonna get a better canoe.
So yeah.
Now you get a kayak.
Because like Final Fantasy VII, when we did that, like the exposition and the twists happen as the game goes on. Like this game is like, okay, you've played Final Fantasy 1 now for the exposition and all the plot dump. So that'll be part 1 of our next episode. But then we'll beat the
Nice.
game. We'll get to
Hell
the
yeah.
end of it.
Sounds
Love
good
it.
to me.
George, thank you for being on our episode today. I appreciate it.
No, thanks for. Look, we all need things to look forward to during these coronary times. So, it's been a pleasure to spend the evening recording with you and to appear on what is genuinely one of my favorite podcasts. So, thank you very
thank you.
much.
Thank you so much.
so much. Yeah, that's great. And would you like to add one more plug to our leaking vessel?
Yeah. So I've told you about the podcast before, so you can follow us on Twitter at Puro Podcast. So that is Puro and then podcast. We've got a
Check the show
website
notes.
called. We've got a website called I maintain the double foot stomp is silly.com. We're currently in a for one more time, I maintain the double foot stomp is silly.com. We're currently in a dispute with our unbeknownst to us, we signed up with a bunch of cowboys, so we're currently trying to get our shit back from them currently. We are being held ransom, so please email the FCC on our behalf and tell them to cut it out. Otherwise, I have got a novel that you can buy. Under my, I say nom de plume, it is my actual name, so that's George Twig, Twigg. That is my shoot name, please don't tell anyone. I've got, it's called The Rise and Fall of Rikidozan, so that's Rikidozan, and it's about the birth of professional wrestling in Japan. It's set in the late 50s and early 60s, and it's about this guy Rikidozan who was a sumo wrestler, and then he came up with the idea of, hey, if I stage these fights where I beat the big evil Americans, people will probably like to watch that because, after the Second World War and having lost to America and the massive war crime that happened, he basically put these shows together and he became a very successful and powerful man off the back of it. And after he died, it was revealed that he was involved with, shall we say, some very legitimate businessmen who definitely do have all of their fingertips intact. And secondly, he wasn't actually Japanese at all. He was born in what is now North Korea. And he became their national sporting hero. So it's basically a novel about my protagonist getting into this world of professional wrestling and finding out that the guy he grew up hero worshipping is kind of, not really that good a dude. And it's got these sort of discussions about identity, belonging, never meeting your heroes, wrestling's place as a sociological phenomenon, etc., etc., etc. It's about $3.50 American, I think. You can get it on your Kindle, or if you want a print copy, I don't know what shipping times are like at the moment, but they're printed in Poland and then shipped worldwide, but they do ship to the United States along with about a dozen other countries. That's about $17.50, but it's a very nice edition, and the paper's all good quality. If you like having a physical book, I do make less money off the paperback, but I genuinely don't care because I did not get into writing niche novels about Japanese pro wrestling to make a shitload of cash. So buy it whatever format that you want. That's the rise and fall of Ricky Dozan. So subscribe to the podcast as well if you feel that's something you'd like to listen to. And otherwise, I'm done.
I love it.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That sounds great.
I can genuinely say from my heart that if you don't follow and buy his book, then you're no friend of mine.
and no friend of the pod.
Enemy of the pod.
Enemy of the pod. Yeah. We've drawn our line in the sand.
The natural state in relation to this pod is an enemy.
All right.
Prove yourself.
Well, I guess I'll see y'all next week.
Hell yeah.
What?
Oh yeah, I guess I gotta read things now.
Throw us off the Sky Fortress, Alex.
I like this theme you've been following this season.
We've been thrown off the Sky Fortress directly into the volcano.
I've been thrown off of fancier fortresses than this.
But yeah, as we mentioned earlier, you can leave us a voicemail. Actually, I don't know if I edited that out or not, but leave us a voicemail at 530-MATERIA if you have any memories or strategies you'd like to lay on us before the season's over. Music that you hear in the background is by Nobuo Uematsu. Leave us a review on iTunes. Follow us at everyfnff on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. Carl's been, he just did his first sub 40 run on Dark Souls.
Yeah, was it 37?
37.55. It was a fake halberd, so it's not leaderboard viable, but I think I'm going to stick with this until I get a sub 35. And then I'll move to the Prepare to Die edition, which is a completely different game, essentially, and a completely different route.
So yeah, by the looks of it, you could have watched him beat it 3 times during this episode. This episode went a little long, but then again, it's the end game, so that's to be expected.
So I guess I have official news along that line as well.
Oh yeah?
So I am going to be participating in the Final Fantasy Relay Race in June. I think the day
That's during our off month, so maybe we'll pop in to see how you're doing.
All right.
That'd be fun.
I think it starts June 5th, June 4th, something in there. It's 4 days long.
Check the show notes.
But it's the FF Relay. It's a big international relay where everybody plays. There's 3 teams that play all the Final Fantasies beginning to end in a row and see who finishes first. I will be on Team 3, I think, for Final Fantasy V. I think my game is scheduled to start 4 a.m. EST. So
sick.
I think I'm just going to take the week off and just prepare for it that way. But I plan on doing some runs on the Every FNFF channel to practice up here shortly. So come hang out with us there, and we'll beat them. We'll get it done fast.
We're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
Team 3 for life.
Team 3!
Any final words, George?
No, other than thank you for having me, and buy my book or die.
Buy his book or die. Those are your options.
Yeah, those are your 2 options. We'll start we'll be especially thematic, and we can say that the last part of this episode will be the newest English word that Maki Ito has posted. So, like you said, a day ago was simps, and today she made a tweet that says, "I know asshole." I'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.